think like this. How does Islam view success? We all had the purpose, welcome dinner discussion about purpose. The first week circle was about purpose of life. We understand our purpose of life. And we understand that our framework is different from the Western framework. First of all, we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We believe in a creator. Secondly, we believe in accountability. We believe in Jannah and Jahannam. We believe in the Akhirah. Straight away, our mindset, our viewpoint towards life is completely changed. Completely different from what the Western model is. Theirs is this life, ours is this life and the Akhirah. Straight away, we're looking at things differently. We're thinking, what is success? Success is pleasing your Creator and attaining Jannah, inshallah. Because we are smart. We realize, why should we work for something which is limited when we can work for something which is eternal and everlasting? Compare the two, yeah? In this life, the best example, someone with a big car, it's a nice car, big house, great job. Compare that to you sitting in Jannah. Imagine this, brothers. You're in your garden in Jannah. So much space, yeah? There's no overcrowding in Jannah. You're sitting on your throne, yeah? And you're so comfortable, you don't even have to move. You've got the nicest garments on that you can't even explain and describe. You've got servants giving you wine, yeah? But not any of this alcohol that makes you pee on the lamppost. It's a type of alcohol, when you take a sip, it's just beautiful. And then the second sip is better than the first. And the third sip is better than the second. This is the type of drinks that you're going to get in Jannah. On top of that, there's no grief. There's no worry. You don't have any animosity between your brothers. You're sitting in a shade here. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. Anything you want is close at hand. There's no struggle. There's no striving. You see it, it's yours. Compare that to the rat race and this dunya. The best example in this dunya, compare that to the guy that has the least in Jannah. Weigh it up. Weigh it up. This is the comparison, and this is what the Muslim realizes. So for us, success is what? It's something more than this life. It's about the Akhirah, it's about pleasing your Creator, and it's about entering Jannah. Another reason why the Islamic notion of success gives you tranquility. Some of you might be thinking, all right, Zach, I get what you're saying. I see what you're saying. But does that mean I have to hide away, wear like the cheapest clothes, ripped up, dirt on my face, living in a one-bedroom house, not own a single thing in my life? No. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed you to progress in the worldly matters. He's told you to be the best in what you can be, but hasn't limited or defined success as just that. So he said, look, in education, be the best that you can be. In your career, be the best that you can be. You don't have to live life like a monk. You don't have to hide away. You can be rich, you can own things. But spend in the way of Allah. Spend in the halal things. Don't have pride in what you have. You think about how you can utilize what you have for Islam. And that's an important part of Islam. It's not how much you have, it's not what you have, it's how you utilize that for Islam. This is what Islam tells you. So I want to give you now a few stories, just to solidify the point. Has everybody heard of Mus'ab ibn Umair? Like, show of hands, Mus'ab ibn Umair. Don't be shy if you don't know. Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, we don't know Mus'ab ibn Umair too well, that's good. Okay, I can tell a bit more detail in the story. So, Mus'ab ibn Umair was a young guy, yeah? Very smart, intellectual. Allah blessed him with intelligence. This is Mus'ab ibn Umair. And everybody around him respected him for his intelligence. And he had a lot of recognition. A lot of the elders respected him. And back in their college days, I'm sure everybody had that one Asian guy who was selling the Prada jeans, the Gucci, the D&G, the latest clothes. Well, Mus'ab ibn Umair was the guy who was rocking all of the latest clothes at the time. He was the man. Everyone wanted to be like him. This is Mus'ab ibn Umair. But he used his intelligence to come to Islam. So he had all of this wealth, recognition, status before Islam, but all of that was used, and he came to Rasulullah and realized that Islam is the truth, and he accepted Islam. Upon accepting Islam, his mum pretty much disowned him. And all of the wealth that he had, yet to sacrifice that and give it away. But he continued. He didn't let that discourage him. He goes with one of his companions, and there's one interesting story. He's sitting near a well, and the two leaders of the people of Medina, they see him. One of them is called Usayd, and the other one is called Sa'd ibn Mu'ad. He was one of the big-time leaders of Medinan society. So they go, look, we need to get rid of this Mus'ab. He's causing a lot of trouble in our society. He's giving this da'wah. We need to get rid of him. So Sa'd ibn Mu'ad tells Usayd, get rid of this guy, please, because the guy he's with is my cousin, and I can't really touch him. So you sort it out, yeah? So Usayd is like, yeah, I'll deal with this, yeah? I'll sort him out. So he goes with his spear, chest up, goes with the spear, and says, what the hell are you doing here? Get out of here. Start shouting at him, swearing at him, etc., etc. Mus'ab ibn Umair was so intelligent, so smart, so articulate. He goes, look, calm down, take a seat. If you like what I hear, fair enough. And if you don't like it, then reject it and go away. Usayd thought, you know what, that sounds like a reasonable offer. He's telling me, listen if I want to listen, if I don't, I can reject it. So he smashes his spear into the ground and he sits down. All of a sudden, Mus'ab, he opens his mouth. As he's opening his mouth and he's reciting the ayahs of Quran, the face of Usayd just changes. And he accepts Islam. Then he goes back to his tribe and his whole tribe accepts Islam. By the work of one man, Mus'ab ibn Umair. This is Mus'ab ibn Umair in Islam. How did he die? He died at the Battle of Uhud. And in some narrations it said both of his arms were chopped off and he had a spear put in his back. This is how Mus'ab ibn Umair died. And do you know when he died? He had battered clothes. Battered clothes. They barely covered his body. Barely covered his aura. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went to find him after the battle had ended. He saw his state. He was in tears. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was in tears. He covered his knees, the top part of his body would show. When he was covering the top part of his body, his knees would show. This is the state in which Mus'ab ibn Umair died. With absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is how Mus'ab ibn Umair died. So this is the first story. Just keep this in mind. Second story. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf was one of the people who were promised Jannah. One of the 10 that were promised Jannah. And he accepted Islam in the early years. And this guy was just a pure businessman. Just pure businessman. And to migrate to Medina, he wanted to leave with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But the people of Makkah said to him, nah mate, if you want to go, go. But your wealth is staying in Makkah. Think about it, this guy's got a huge amount of wealth. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf says, you know what, fine, keep it. Keep every penny. I'm going to go with Rasulullah. So he goes with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and all of his wealth stays in Makkah, which pretty much would have bankrupted Makkah if he'd taken the wealth. So he goes to Medina, and what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did in Medina was he paired the Muhajirin and the Ansar. The Muhajirin are those people who went to Medina, and the Ansar are those people who helped Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and Islam. And he paired each of them up to build a bond between them. The person that was paired up with Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, listen to what he says. He goes, he got all of his wealth, cut it in half. And he goes, here, Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, you can take half of this. This is what the person in Medina said, the Ansari that helped him. Sorry. Then he goes, I've got 2 wives. I've got 2. Yeah? Listen to what he says. He says, look at the one that's more desirable, I'll divorce her and you can take her. That's the second offer he made to him. Then third, he goes, my dwelling, I'm going to chop it in half, you can take half. This is the offer that he gave to Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf turned around and said to him, do you know what? Jazakallah khair, show me where the market is. That's all he asked. So point me to the marketplace. So he found out where the marketplace was. He goes to the marketplace. With whatever he could find, he starts trading. And all of a sudden, he starts making profits. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed his rizq and he starts building his empire pretty much again. To the point where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam found him one day and he realized that something was different. He goes, what's going on? He goes, I've got married. He said, you got married? You came here penniless. How did you afford the mahar, the dowry? He goes, yeah, I gave her like X amount of gold. Rasulullah's thinking, what? You came here penniless and you're giving gold to your wife now. You know, how did this happen? Because the rizq of Abdul Rahman ibn Auf was blessed. This guy, he gave so much to charity. In the battles of Badr, Uhud, he participated. And there was one particular battle where Rasulullah he needed loads of donations. And Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, he came with a sack of gold. He came with so much gold. Umar ibn Khattab, he saw the gold and he thought, this guy's trying to make up for some sins, man. There's no way someone can give that much gold. There's something dodgy here. But that was just his generosity. There was another occasion where there was like a tremor, like an earthquake heard in Medina. Like an earthquake. And they were thinking, what's going on here? They later found out it was the goods and the produce of Abdul Rahman ibn Auf entering the city. All of it was coming with 700 camels, was entering Medina, and it sounded like an earthquake. And Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that Abdul Rahman ibn Auf is creeping in paradise. And Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, he heard that. He came to Aisha radiallahu anha and said, did you hear that hadith? Did you hear that? He said, yes, I heard that too. Upon hearing that, he was so excited, those 700 camels and all of the goods, he gave it all for the sake of Allah and Islam. Yet it didn't diminish his wealth, because he had so much wealth. He couldn't get rid of it. This was Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, the second example. The third example, this is probably my favorite, yeah, and I tell the story quite a lot. It's about an orphan and this man by the name of Abu Lubaba. This orphan child,